So how long from when... So the record that Newsboys put out just before you left...
Yep.
I didn't have much to do with that. What was it called again?
In the Hands of God.
In the Hands of God, that's right. Some fantastic songs, but it kind of came sort of at the end. It didn't really seem to get much of an album life, that.
Yeah, it's a hard, when you get rid of your lead singer, it's not good for the record. Yeah.
But there's a song on there called the RSL song.
Yeah.
Tell us about that, because that's an incredible song. It's got some very emotional bits. And where did that happen, that song?
Well, that was really, at that point, I kind of knew this was my last record with the boys. And, a lot of your emotions come of just your history of the band forming, playing, shows around Australia. I can remember so many memories of, playing the RSL, playing, the youth group, playing friends' birthday parties and going to the beach and plugging into the toilets and playing, and trying to use the power. No, I don't mean, yeah.
I was going to say, is that a Marshall?
Even though there's not a bad reverb in the bowl, no. But, all the memories that were coming up, it's like I was just talking to Isaac back there, who I love that guy, and what he's done with this festival and his heart for the city. He's such a brilliant guy. And just, to him, I guess he's kind of, making decisions now to move into politics and to kind of hand his child over or something. That's that thing that he planted. And so for me, there was emotions of knowing that I didn't know what was coming into the future, not worried about it, but also at the same time, that was the last song I was singing, and I wanted it to be about Australia. I wanted it to be about the early beginnings, because you never forget that. You just don't forget it, and so I have not. And never
There's a
will.
sense of the future in the song, though, too. It's like, so roll out. It's almost like, keep going, fellas.
Yeah, that's right. Well, you hand it off. It's like, Newsboys to me was, I don't know how the analogy would, but it would be close to being like a church. Not that the group was like a church, more like it was like, when a pastor hands over a church, if he's got the right spirit, he wants it to do better and wants it to do well, and you should rejoice in that, and you should want that thing that you had something to do with do well, not for it to fail. And so for me, it was an encouragement to them guys to, hey, here's the baton, go, go for it, and it's your era now, it's your band, it's yours,
So what did you do directly after that? You took time out. I know you moved.
Yeah.
So where did you move from to?
Well, right before I moved, I want to put this in because there's probably a few folks here that I wrote a lot of the Newsboys material with a guy named Steve Taylor, and any of you folks from that were around in the 80s scene. Oh yeah, I see some hair. Yeah. And g'day mate. I saw, Steve was somebody who, was kind of like a big brother to me, and he still is today. And so he came around my house probably right when I was just handed the stuff off to the boys, and he came to me and just sort of approached me about, what are you doing with your life? Kind of one of them talks, and I just said, I don't know, but I like it, And and so he said, you got any songs, any music? And you know what it's like when you guys have just finished a record. When you finish a record, there's always stuff left over, or there's always just this kind of collection of tunes still there. And so I had these bunch of songs, and so Steve came to me and said, well, what are you going to do with them, and what do you want to do? And I didn't really know what to do. I just said, well, let's finish them, because we write songs together. Let's do that. And I said, well, and we'll record them, but long as you sing them. And so Steve, being somebody who I've just kind of been a fan of him as a person and creatively, we went in and began to make a record with a guy named Jimmy Abegg and John Painter. And so the four of us were just in a room, and I was just the drummer. I was back to kind of early Newsboys days. I was just this kind of like a kid, 4-piece drum kit. There's a guitarist there with one guitar and an amp, and there's a bass player, and then there's a singer sitting across from me. So for me, it was a thrill just to be creating music. No record deal, no management, no anything. Not knowing what's going to happen with it. Just the thrill of making music again and rocking out with guys in a room in a garage. You know what I mean? So it was back to Mooloolaba, And so we made a record, and in that process was what got my creative juices going to just begin to want to sing again, and and feel the thrill of that. But yes, we did move as well. My wife and I, we moved down to Florida You know, again, not knowing what the future holds. We don't know. We might end up at Mooloolaba again. I don't know. You know, we don't know what it goes. We moved back down to Florida because actually it really, the area that we moved to feels very Sunshine Coast to me. It's just something about it that it's got similar type folks, similar type pace, and so it was really kind of that thing again. You know, you hit a certain point in your life where you really have a yearning to be home, and so that felt more like home to me, more like the Sunshine Coast than Nashville.
And so tonight you're going to be singing a couple of new songs.
Yes.
Are they from that session with Steve Taylor?
No.
Okay, so you have a new record comes out June 21st?
That's right. You're good.
I retained that.
Yeah.
That's amazing to me.
That's good.
Yeah.
I mean, you forgot my name 15 minutes ago, so...
Steve, I've never... I mean... no, Peter emailed me a copy of the record. Thanks for that.
You're welcome.
Put it on YouTube. Sorry.
Yeah, it's all right.
I'm just kidding.
That's right. I know. I got my boys on you.
Okay. It's actually really great. And so that comes out June 21st. And the two songs you're singing from that. So how did that record happen compared to the stuff that you're working on with those guys? What was that process?
That process was brilliant. There's a group playing here you guys should check out called Me in Motion. And so, good guys. And I co-produced the record with Seth, who's the lead singer. And it was such a thrill. It was just the most pleasant and enjoyable record. Not that the others weren't. This was really just a thrill to just be making music again. You know, that thing that you feel just when you haven't done something in a while, and where before that you had to do it a lot, and you had to do it. Where I didn't have to do it this time. It was just for the thrill of making music. So I'm really happy. I wouldn't, you know, I'm an Aussie. I wouldn't be putting it out if I was embarrassed of it, or I thought it wasn't up to what I've done in the past. So I'm really happy with it. I actually had a couple of years of the process of making it, so I think it made it a better record as opposed to always being rushed to have a certain amount of songs and be ready and to meet a certain schedule. So it comes out June 21st, and I'm really happy with it.
So what are the two songs you're singing tonight from that?
Tonight I'm singing a song called Reach off the record, and that's a single. Yep. Thanks, Mum.
And that's doing pretty well in America. My understanding is.
Yep, it's doing great. Yep.
So there's still lots of Peter Furler love out there.
Well, you know, I really, it's been good. I felt such a welcome back from people. It's been that's been the thrill, you know, just to kind of meet people that have listened to your music over the years and go and see radio stations and such, and feeling I wasn't sure. You know, you don't know. You know, people. You're not sure what to expect, but it's been good. So
that's Reach, and then what's the other one?
The other one's called All in Your Head. It's about you.
All in your head. What's that all about? All in your head.
I can't tell. It's too deep, mate.
It's too deep?
Yeah.
One of the things about Peter is on stage he's kind of crazy. Have you noticed? He's just out there. But off stage he's a very gentle guy. He's got a very gentle demeanour. He's very softly spoken.
I like pets.
And you know, he's not gonna sort of confront you in an aggressive way. But he's one of the best people I've ever talked to about my life, and he's very pastoral. He's very wise. One of the things that you said to me that's had most impact, and you've sort of mentioned it a bit here, is this idea about not worrying.
Yeah.
There's so much worry. And I guess the technical term would be anxiety. Yeah. It's worry one of the things you said, mate, it's worry that's going to kill you.
Yeah.
So you're talking about simplifying your life. Have you got anything more to say about that? Because I'll hear it.
I think, you know, it's everything that you buy, you have to work for to pay for it. Then you have to work to maintain it. And we sometimes get these, especially as people, we compare ourselves to other people. We get overly ambitious. And that's sometimes when them hooks get in us, they're like hooks, and they begin to pull us in certain directions. It can be at any age. It can be in school. It can be the way that you look, or the way someone else looks, or how someone else they approve of you or disapprove of you. It can just cause so much havoc in your life, and also just materialistically, I think is another huge thing. You know, we've seen it. Look at what happens in America now. It's all around the world. It's just people that have trying to achieve or trying to gain so much and gather so much, but yet there's so much practical advice in the Bible. Don't wear yourself out to get rich. Have the wisdom to show restraint. I think for my wife and I, it's been really an awakening of just really simplifying and living simple lives. And then there's no hooks in you. You don't have to do something because you have to do it. You do it because you're led to do it, and you feel this peace about doing it. And the things that are in your life that are telling you to do it are pure and true. And so, I think for me, it's just figuring out. I know that in the beginning, God had a plan, and that plan was thwarted, and something entered into the world that we see, rampant today. Bitterness and hatred and malice and poverty and all these things. But then we see something greater than it coming into the world that's got more power than it. And so I don't want just to know Jesus and know he has power over death, and he has power, because of this weekend, what we celebrate, Easter, and the power of Christ, but also that he came to give us life and give it abundantly. And I know lots of people got different impressions of what they be. Sometimes you see people on TV saying that you should have a certain car if Jesus blesses you, and other people say that you shouldn't have any car if Jesus blesses you. But I think that's the thing where you're working out your own salvation. What does it mean to not just to follow Jesus, but what does it mean to be really on fire for him, and to really to find that abundant life, the joy and the peace that really comes in not having that stress and the worries of this world. The tribulations will come. They say, the Bible talks about that, that we're going to go through stuff that drives us nuts. But Jesus said, be of good cheer. And so it's working out what that means, and looking we were talking about this yesterday on the bus ride coming in, but it's about that Jesus, I love the fact that he said, one of the things that just kept coming back to me, he said, they got nothing in me. They got nothing in me. And so the less that we have in us, the less hooks and the less things that we have in us that are pulling us in directions, I want to be led by the Spirit of God and let him direct. God is a spirit. He's not this mysterious being. He's a personal God. He's made that known, sending Jesus, but he's also a spirit, and so it's being led by the Spirit of God. And that's spirit seems to be in my life. It seems to be quiet and a still voice, and it's very hard to hear when there's lots of other noise and other things pulling. And I know that's something we all know, but I think there's so many practical things in the Bible that when you look at them and you just read them and you go and do them, they actually work. It does work. It really does work. It's not just sayings from 2,000-year-old scriptures or 5,000-year-old scriptures. It does work, and it works in your life if you let it, if you submit to it, and submit to it as unto the Lord. It really does work.